Welcome back to Oddie Hotties. I'm McKenna,
And I'm Bree.
and today we're talking about religion.
Oh,
It'll be exciting.
okay. Audie
Hotties.
Hotties. Yeah, welcome to the Audie Hottie podcast.
Here we are. All right, today we are talking about religion, but first, tell
McKenna's
me,
audiobook voice.
tell me about your life. Also, we're in really goofy moods because it's nighttime
It's nighttime. We
and
don't record
we
at night.
always record in the morning time. So
Yeah,
we're a little loopy,
yeah,
but
a little bit.
updates.
Anyways, updates. Yeah. Let's see. I know you had a bunch of things to talk about, but I think the only thing fun that I've done this week was I found a photographer, a queer photographer
Yeah.
on social medias that said they were coming to town for a short period and they were giving away two free photo shoots for couples. And I entered it just to see, and we didn't get it the first go around. And then I got a text the next week, like right before the time frame that it was supposed to be. And they were like, my person backed out. Like, do you want the slot? And so like last minute, like 2 days before, Lauren and I were like trying to pick out outfits I was like, I need to get a haircut. I want to get my like undershave done just in time for these pictures.
Gotta look extra queer.
Yeah. Like trying to figure out all this stuff at the last second, but then it was both super fun and super awkward.
Oh no.
I've actually been in front of cameras a lot since I was a kid because between like ice skating, dance,
Yeah,
like performing arts stuff in general, like
sure.
I was in pageants as a kid. I've never told you this one.
Beauty queens. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like I went anywhere with any of it, but I was in a few.
Miss
So it was
Oklahoma.
no. Maybe like Miss preteen teen, like teeny bopper Oklahoma or something. I don't know.
Amazing.
I'm sure there's pictures out there somewhere. I have to harass my mom for some, but so I've actually been in front of cameras quite a bit, so I'm not that uncomfortable. But like when you're posing like with your partner, it is like kind of awkward at first, and
It can be
like
really awkward. Yeah,
yeah, like doing so like it's like that performance thing in front of
totally.
someone else, and
Yeah.
like I don't know, for me like mixing like, intimacy with like being watched and like it was just very like
Well, it was also in public too,
it was
wasn't
also in
it?
public. Yeah.
Yeah,
Luckily there wasn't too many people around. We were like
that's
up in a
good.
hiking trail,
Yeah.
but they were great. They they gave us really good instructions and some really funny ones that we were like, okay, now Brie, you're gonna kiss Lauren's face in random places for 7 times, and then she'd be like, okay, now Lauren, your turn, but 9 times, and like just like all these silly things. And she's like, oh, you're gonna like walk out there. When you get to that tree, you're gonna turn around and you're gonna skip back. Like all these cute little like instructions.
That's adorable. I feel like with those funny, cute instructions, though, it gets like those really candid, sweet pictures of either you
Hmm.
laughing or just being real. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
was really sweet. You could definitely tell she'd been doing it for a long time.
that's awesome.
And then we took her to her first ever lesbian bar.
Hell yeah.
She'd been to a lot of like queer bars, but where she's from, there aren't any like lesbian specific ones. And she was like, I really want to go to this place. So we went and took some pictures and had a drink, and then she went to the airport. So
So cute. Was it fun, like to interact with her and
yeah, it was fun, like meeting
cool?
somebody new and
Yeah.
have that awkwardness of like we don't really know you, but
Yeah.
like
We don't know you, but let's go to a bar.
yeah, we'll hang out anyways. But yeah, I'll see if she wants us to share her handle because I'm sure she could always use more publicity, and she does a
Yeah,
lot of like engagement shoots or elopements, I think is one of her biggest things. So
I
yeah.
love
Yeah,
it.
she said she's coming back next year for another Portland elopement. So
Very cool.
yeah, so
The
that was my
pictures
fun
turned out
week.
really cute.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yeah, we just got the first couple because she released them for Lesbian Visibility Day.
Oh,
And
funny.
then we'll get the rest of them probably in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
yeah.
Very cool. Ah,
What about your updates?
well, I've been taking pottery, which
Oh
has
yeah.
been really fun. The
Hmm.
last month, it has been the biggest joy I've had in a long
Oh.
time. It's just like so sensory seeking, like between the mud and it getting squishy and
Mm.
um it's very frustrating as well. Like every single stage is so intricate and it takes a while to learn each step. And the class was really fast and like a 4 week process where you're only doing one thing a week. So by the time
Mm.
I like mastered the first week skill, we were already on week 3. And so then I had to like spend time doing that. And so I have yet to see if any of the pieces ended up.
Oh, you don't know yet?
I still don't know because we
Oh.
glazed them this
Mhm.
past Friday, so I'm picking up all of them on Monday. So we'll see if any turned
Yay,
out.
pictures, pictures.
But I'm gonna keep on doing it. I bought the punch card to like keep on going back to the studio, and
Oh.
honestly, if I could, I would have a wheel at home and
Mm.
just like throw mud all day long. It's
Oh.
just there is something about it. I haven't been this connected to an art form in a long time. But I also have ADHD, so who knows? Maybe something else will pop around in about a month or so.
Currently, the date is Tuesday, April 29th. For posterity, we will keep this date in record and
We
see
will,
how long this hobby lasts.
it's just I just dabble a little bit in everything,
Yeah.
you know? It's all
The
good.
picture you sent me of you actually spinning,
Yeah,
you looked so zen. I was like, oh yeah, that looks like fun.
it's so calming. And I like one of my I love it, but I just have my earphones on and play like Blink-182 or like my old
Nice.
emo music and just like rage out inside, but like play in the mud and try and make something cool. It is the ultimate vibe. So,
Nice.
yeah,
Love it.
really enjoying that right now. So, the reason why I wanted to talk about religion today is because I have just realized how much religion has played a part in my life, especially as a neurodivergent individual, and taking things at face value and having this like rigid system to be a part of. So I was just curious, like, if you had the same experience or if anyone else had the same experience with religion. But I
And
wanted,
also,
oh,
the Pope just died.
oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I have no opinions on religion in general, but I really liked this Pope.
He was a great pope.
He was a great Pope.
He was so progressive and just like,
Humble and like, I don't, like,
yeah,
if there was something that I could say that like religion should be, that's like more what I think of. Like, if all religion and all religious people were like that more,
yeah,
I would be more inclined to believe in something.
yeah.
Giving little hints here at what my
A little hinty hint.
little hinty hints at what my religious affiliations are. Yeah.
I
Anyway, sorry,
know.
continue.
No, I
I
mean,
grew up
I
with the
feel the
Pope.
same way. Yeah, he was incredible. And it's interesting to have been friends with people that are Catholic and have like their family members be super against the Pope and
Mm,
like how not all Catholics stood behind him, even though he was their leader. And a lot of people are excited for a not so progressive Pope maybe to step into place. But at this
mm.
point, we don't know.
Oh, there's a few people in the running for it and see what
Mhm.
happens, but
So yeah, I wasn't even thinking about along the lines of the Pope but dying. That's probably why I started laughing.
yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to know if you had any religious background and kind of start there.
Yeah. So yeah, my religious background. Mine was kind of mixed because I didn't really have like my family wasn't engaged in a church, any particular kind. My mom came from a Catholic background, but she wasn't particularly practicing. We like read the Bible and homeschooling stuff some, but it wasn't like a constant presence or anything.
Hmm.
Like we didn't go to church, but my I went with friends quite a bit. So I went
Hmm.
to a variety of churches, which was kind of cool. Like I
Hmm.
saw different ways that things were practiced. I'll say the one that I resonate with the least is whichever one it is that doesn't allow singing or like
Yeah,
yeah, I'm like what does that have to do with
like the Footloose type of church where it's like you can't dance, you can't sing.
can't dance, can't sing, stand there solemnly for the whole time. We're like,
Oh,
yeah, I can't get it.
yeah.
Um, But yeah, so I grew up like surrounded by religion because I grew up in the South. Like Oklahoma is very religious based.
Bible
Um,
Belt.
Bible Belt right in the middle. Yeah. And so it was like all around me, but I have never like personally connected to religion. I did call myself Buddhist for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. I found it probably like just after high school time frame, like one of my first semesters of college, and like I just felt like what it was teaching was already aligned with what I believed in the
Mm-hmm.
world of like the general how we treat other people and like letting go of worldly possessions helps us be more calm and um just a lot of the like guidelines and the way that they go about things felt very similar to how I felt.
Sure.
I never was like particularly practicing, like I've never been to like a monastery
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. But I do still think like a lot of the teachings are good.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got into like too much of the nuance of it too, and there's like so many different sects of Buddhism and like the different types and who practices it how and
Yeah.
all of that. So it does get just as complicated. And then I said, maybe
Right.
not.
You're dipping out.
Never mind. It's kind of like finances, like I was talking about. Like I just don't want to have to be that. Like if I wanted to commit to saying I was something, I feel like I'd have to dive in so deep, and I don't have the time or the energy to dive in that deep to religion either.
Yeah. Or the desire, it sounds like.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
not something that you need to participate in.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I always see my like belief in science and like
Mm-hmm.
logic to be over that. Like I don't need the like additional beliefs, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if it would help me to have something to like kind of distract me a little bit from the world, but
The world.
provide some hope in there somewhere. But
Yeah, it is interesting how people like just what place religion takes in people's lives and whether it is making meaning of life and why you're here or like your purpose or again like a set of rules to live by. Um it is interesting and also like how it kind of can ebb and flow out of people's lives or like not be in anyone's life at all.
yeah,
It's just an interesting concept, I think.
yeah.
Um, so you don't consider yourself Buddhist anymore, religious at all.
No, I don't really label myself anything anymore. I don't even really say that I'm like, I guess I would be considered agnostic because I'm not really
Hmm.
committed to any one thing, but
Yeah,
definitely wouldn't say I'm like atheist necessarily. I don't really believe in things that I can't see very well or like that there isn't some like logic behind. So I
sure.
can't really get behind like that gods aren't just like a constructed
Yeah,
thing that we've made up, like
right.
money or whatever
Like
else,
gender.
like gender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God
So
is a construct.
yeah. Who knows? We don't know.
We don't know, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think that like
Mm,
it is just like money, what you were just saying. It's so interesting that has so much power over our
mhm.
world, religion. I mean, it's the reason for so many wars and
Yeah.
hurt and pain and power.
Hmm. The
Um,
the one part that I will say that I believe pretty strongly in, and it's more from a science base than actual religion base, but from Buddhism, the idea of reincarnation,
yeah,
maybe not exactly along the lines of like how they say it, but like I do believe that our souls go somewhere.
yeah,
Like, because I'm like, what are souls? We don't know like what a soul is, like what energy innervates our energizes our body. I don't know. Like whatever, what
yeah.
makes us human, what makes us
I know.
alive, and what happens to that life when you die. Like
Hmm.
I don't believe that that energy dies.
Right. Nothing is
So,
created or destroyed.
yep, exactly. So
Yeah,
if we go off of science principles, it makes sense to me that that energy would then move into another, you know, life.
sure.
Yeah, coming back into the world. So,
I
also, I
believe.
believe my dad was reincarnated as a seagull.
A specific seagull that you've
I
met?
saw the sea. Well, I saw probably the mommy seagull because if it was energy leaving him, it probably was not born yet. But
Oh,
yeah,
tell me that
when
story.
this
He
is so
wants
silly.
to.
This is like I, I
Really?
haven't told a lot of people, but no, we went to do we spread his ashes in a few different places, but one of them was in California because that's where he spent a lot of his life and where he and my
Hmm.
mom met and so we took the ashes and calla lilies, which were his favorite flower, and we
Mm.
took them to the beach and scattered them, in the waves. And when we scattered the flowers, of course, the flowers kind of like drift in and out, back and forth.
Yeah.
And the seagull came down and landed on one of the flowers. I think the one that I had thrown, but I can't remember. I was 18 when he passed, so it's been a long time. But
Yeah.
it landed like on the flower, and then it sat there like holding onto the stem of the flower in the water, and like the waves were like hitting it, and it was just really weird. And I was like, what is this seagull doing? Like this doesn't seem like natural seagull behavior right now.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, obviously I was looking at it, and they kind of look like they're looking at you. So
They do. They have
their
the
little
effect on you.
eyes kind of look like they're looking everywhere. But yeah, so I don't know. I just had like that connection to the seagull in that moment, and then now seagulls kind of remind me of him. So
That's really sweet.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah. Some
Yeah.
of the shows that I listen to, 'cause I really like National Park After Dark, they talk about signs a lot.
Yeah.
Because one of the girls, her fiance had passed away, and she asks for signs
Yeah.
regularly, and they
Yeah.
have people write in and talk about their signs a lot. So I've
Hmm.
never asked for a sign from him.
Yeah.
I think partly because I didn't want to be like disappointed, but also like it
Huh.
would be interesting to pay more attention to that.
Yeah, and like start asking for signs.
Yeah, and they're just looking for like a sign of a seagull or something. I don't know.
So
Mm.
interesting. Yeah. Like, do you ever notice seagulls around and like think that his spirit's around or
Um, I definitely haven't in a long time. Um, but I definitely like if I see seagull related things, I think of it a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I have a painting with a seagull in it. I want to show you
Mm,
next time you're at my house.
okay.
But well, I imagine that maybe like religion, not even religion, but like afterlife and souls probably impact you a lot more since you have a parent that you've lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like thinking about that and thinking through.
Yeah. Well, I definitely believe in like I haven't really had any like ghost encounters or things like that, but I
Yeah.
definitely believe in like the energy that you can feel from that.
Yeah.
And like I am sensitive enough to like being in a space and like being able to feel that like something is here vibe.
It's so weird when that happens.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
like I connect
what's
that back to the
happening?
energy too of like, is the energy trapped here? And like that's what we're feeling. Or
Yeah.
yeah. So that's probably the only thing that I'd consider like, I don't know, religious in some way in my like beliefs. But
Well, I mean, we could talk too about like how religion and spirituality, I
hmm
mean, that it feels like they go hand in hand almost because it is talking about like, again, something we can't see, can't
yeah.
explain.
Yeah, and I think growing up, like, I don't know, there was two things that really pushed me away from religion was like one was the way that people acted who claimed to be religious. Um, I found it way worse in Oklahoma than here because I think it's just outward. Like there's a lot of people talking about it, people pushing their religion, outwardly showing signs of religion, like that kind of thing in Oklahoma. And I don't know, I saw a lot of people who were, snarky bees behind other people's backs and I don't know, like stealing
Snarky bees.
snarky bees, snarky bitches. And like I don't know, like lying and stealing and cheating and like all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I was just like, I can see right through the crap of like you like how can you follow something if you don't know that all the people following it are actually telling the truth?
Yeah.
So like the idea of like church itself definitely was the biggest thing that
Yeah.
I was kind of not for. Um, and the other thing was um I feel like I am very internally driven. Like I believe that like I'm like making things happen in my life.
Hmm.
My locus of control is internal.
Sure.
And I felt like a lot of times I would see people using religion as like an external locus of control, that they were
Definitely.
like, I'm not in control of my life.
Yep.
God will make it happen, so I'm not in control. And
Yeah.
I like that. I like it as a support mechanism of like God has my back, or like, like
Right.
there's energy looking out for me, that kind of thing, but like using it as nothing happens because I make it happen. It only happens because God made it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I couldn't get into that. But
No,
mm,
that was something I really
mm,
struggled with actually,
mm.
when I like kind of walked away from Christianity, which I will tell my story and I will actually tell it, not just say that I will tell it.
We keep talking about how we say what we're going to talk about and then we forget to talk about what we said. So
We're
McKenna will tell their
keeping
story in a
we're
minute.
keeping it real. But just like about trusting myself,
Mm,
after spending years trusting God and trusting like um God to like, pivot my life in how it is. And I very much gave all of my like responsibility and or just like where I thought my life was gonna go. Like, you give it up, you pray about
Mhm.
it and take no ownership really. And so
Mhm.
afterwards I really struggled with like trusting myself with decision making in particular, which I
Mhm.
just think is an interesting concept
Yeah.
because yeah,
I'm
it's
really curious because part of my not being like a part of a church before, I haven't really got to like ask any like deeper questions about it or like see some more of the nuanced stuff. But like, how did they talk about um like when bad things happen? Like, how did they talk about like you need to trust God? Like, guys, you're trusting, you're putting your trust in Him. Like things
yeah,
are
I
gonna
trust
work
his
out.
plan.
But then, how do they talk about like a kid getting cancer or like I don't know, just horrible things?
I mean, and that's the problem, right? Like, and I don't remember those answers.
Mm.
And, actually it's really interesting. Last night I watched a TikTok of someone who had a child die of childhood cancer and she met Katy Perry. This relates, I promise. And when she was meeting Katy Perry, telling her about her son, Katy Perry was like, "Oh, well, he's with God now. Like that's the silver lining." And it's just like,
Mm.
I think that religion is one of those things where it's like, you give total control to God. I wonder if it's a way for people to just like not have the answers and like delegate it to something else.
Mm.
I don't know. And I hear you. I mean,
Yeah.
why do bad things happen? And like, why? Because that's kind of what in my breakdown of like leaving the church, I was just like, well, yeah, like if there is a God and they're all knowing, all powerful, and all loving, why on earth would they cause like bad things to happen? And
Mm.
then people talk about how like because we're human and like the fall of man, um, when the woman ate the apple in the garden and all that, misogynist bullshit. But um, yeah, they talk a lot about like sinning and how we are just sinners and repent for that. And
Mm.
um, so yeah, to come back to your answer, like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to know, like, I don't know, because I don't want it to make it seem like that I'm completely bashing religion, like in every way.
I
It's just like there's so much bad within the good that it's hard to like see the rest. And I also wonder if it's part of my like black and white thinking of, like I can't accept like this piece of Christianity, so therefore I can accept none of it. Or, like I have a hard time rectifying like that we can believe one thing and then also these other things happen that doesn't follow the rule.
totally,
Like, yeah, that's totally like some of my just strict thinking or like rule following
yeah,
brain.
which I think makes a lot of sense. And it's
Mhm.
really like, I think it's really good self-reflection to see that, like, yeah, I am curious about it. And also, like, I see that I'm rigid about this, like, thinking. And I
Yeah.
hear you. I mean, it can be nuanced. And, like,
I
I
actually,
love talking about religion and philosophy. Like, it is
yeah.
one of my favorite things to talk about. So,
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I do know some like very good Christians, like people that I actually would consider people who follow well, and I like think very highly of them, and like
Yeah.
don't think any worse of them for being Christian. Like I don't want it to seem like I hate it in general. It's just
No,
yeah.
yeah. Well, and I'll get into this. No. Um, One of the things I wanted to talk about was actually the Quaker faith and how
Oh.
I have kind of found it and want to actually check it out. So I will talk about that later too. But to piggyback off of like knowing Christian, like, so it's interesting. A lot of my close friends have either been very religious or are like still kind of practicing religion. One of my best friends, she doesn't go to church. She grew up very religious, and still is religious in her own sense, like still prays. I'm pretty sure she reads the Bible. And she always talks about how she like follows Jesus and how like there are so many Christians that don't. Like
Mhm.
even though they're within this Christian religion, like that's the problem. It's not really what Jesus taught and perpetuated while he
Mhm.
was here. And
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but how, Jesus would like sit with all of the marginalized people in
Hmm.
today's world. And it's just interesting how
Yeah,
you
it's
can get
it's
it
the
so
difference
wrong.
between yeah, it's the difference between religion and belief and organized religion
Yeah.
and like where that veers off into.
Well,
Mm,
and ironically shows the fall of man.
yeah.
And shows how power and greed has gotten it all wrong and turned around. And you wonder if these leaders are, pivoting this stuff to have power and to, you know, create this. I mean, I just feel like this might be bold to say, but I feel like so much of the Christianity that I know and see is wrapped up in white supremacy.
Mm,
And like, so then you have to wonder, like, how did it fall so far from that? And like,
yeah.
how is it still connected? And
And you bring up greed is like one of the other big things about
hmm
organized religion that I have a hard time with is these mega churches and like a lot of organizations that claim to be nonprofit, claim to be for the people, and then they're building these ridiculous buildings for their services and putting billions of dollars into their own pockets and doing all this that I'm like, that's not Christ-like in any way. Like
no.
it's the opposite. Like we're showing off, we're being greedy, we're being,
Yeah.
mm,
There is a small town in Idaho that I visited with my family a lot, and it has gone from like a university town to one particular religion buying all of the businesses and will
mm,
soon have governance of that town. And
mm,
we all know what's happening in Idaho. So that's where like the greed and the power comes in of like they don't want anyone else's voices to be heard. They want their way of life. I think that they all in good faith like think that they are perpetuating this loving religion that leaves people out,
yeah.
hurts people. So I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Um
It's interesting. Another parallel is between like religion and cults, because like
mhm,
technically religions fall under
mhm,
the category of a cult.
totally.
Um, and like where it crosses the line of like how culty are we getting? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
mm,
Well, and I wonder if like culty too is just like I wonder if it's like being so immersed in this one thing and not even be able to see other sides. Like
mhm.
I think that way of politics too, sometimes if people
Yeah.
can just get so in it and just not even listen to what's going on or the nuances and
Hmm. And the person in power really having like all the control and like saying like,
yeah.
look to me, I'm the one. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm,
I have noticed that. And I've noticed my own rigid thinking too in those moments of just like
mm,
not even wanting to see the other side. And it's like, okay, but I'm being hypocritical if
mm.
like, even though I think the better way.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting.
Which is
I
a
think
common autistic thought that we
mhm.
think our way is the best way
It is.
and have a hard time accepting anyone else's way.
What?
What?
So I can dive into my
Yeah, please,
religious
before we get too far
story.
away from it.
I mean,
Mm,
we have all night, right?
mhm.
So I grew up also like not in a religious family. My mom was Catholic. My dad did grow up in like a Christian religion called the Two by Twos.
The two by twos.
Yeah, so they're a cult. They
Yeah.
got in trouble a couple years ago for all of the sexual assault that was happening within the church. Awful.
Where did this two by two fall under? Like, was it
Uh,
just a sect of Christianity?
Non-denominational.
Oh,
They
okay.
also call themselves the Truth.
Hmm.
They're international, all
The
over the
truth. I think
world.
I've heard of the truth.
hmm
Mm.
Um, and they have like workers that travel to different houses. Like they don't own anything. They just travel and spread the word of God. And
Hmm.
um, I might be butchering this. So he grew up in that religion, and then his whole side of the family continued to like be very devout in that religion. So anytime
Oh.
we went and visited my grandparents or my cousins, they would go to church like every Wednesday night. It's they called it meeting. And I was the weird kid that would like always want to go because I was just
Oh.
always so curious. And my parents would let me. Like
Mm.
they didn't see any harm in it. Um, and then in middle school, I just had like a rough time socially and didn't have a lot of friends my age at all. And my aunt had a roommate who happened to be a youth pastor and
Mhm.
invited me to Christian camp that summer and just, talked my parents into it, said that it would be a great way for me to make friends. So I went and I accepted Jesus Christ.
That's how they get you. They're like, look at all the fun we're having. It's summer camp. Yeah.
Like we walked right into the trap.
Oh
It
God.
was so bad, you guys.
Oh no.
It was like, I mean, I was fine. I was forgiven.
Hmm.
Um, I made a lot of friends. But, the rhetoric started at that camp of like, now I have found the good way and my parents are sinners.
Oh.
And like I was now to be like a follower of Christ. And if they weren't, or if they said I couldn't, then they were like of the devil
Mm.
or whatever. So I remember getting back and my parents just like understanding that I was brainwashed and like told me that and I just couldn't believe it and was so upset with them because I mean I was 13 years old. I didn't know any
Mm.
different. And also like everything that they were saying, my like the youth pastors had just said
I was
like
gonna say they have their
hours
scripts
prior.
for everything. They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna anticipate every possible thing they could say and
Yeah.
how to turn your brain into thinking that that was wrong.
Yeah,
Mm.
super
Wow.
manipulative. My parents and I came to a decision that like I could go to youth group and participate in that, but I wasn't to participate in church without
Mm.
my family, and they didn't want to. So that was just the agreement we came to. So youth group became a safe space. I think everyone was a little weird. We were all there for a common reason. There were rules to follow. Um,
All sounding like things autistic people thrive off of.
well, especially since I wasn't like getting any sort of social bids at school. Like
Mm.
I was just completely lost socially. So it was a really
Did you go to a public school or a private school or?
so I went to public up until eighth grade and then I ended up going to Catholic school in high
Yeah,
school because I
yeah.
asked my parents if I could go to Catholic school.
Mm.
I was balls to the wall. Like just I loved God. I loved being a follower of Jesus. Found again just like a lot of meaning in um like giving him all of the things off of my plate. In a way I wonder if it was like a dissociating thing of like not really having to take responsibility for things that happened in life and
Mm.
not having to worry about the future. Like I never worried about the future pretty much until my mid 20s,
Mm.
which is around the time that I left the church. But anyway, some things went down in the church that I'm not like gonna get to in this space, but like sexual things that were not good.
I was gonna ask that if you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like around the time that that was happening, I also was like getting ready to go to college, went to college and came back and didn't end up visiting anyone in my church community. Um, and didn't really plug into churches at my university. I just didn't feel like this intense need to. Still like had a relationship with God. Um, and then I saw my youth pastor like maybe a year later, and he, I saw him just like walking, and one of the first questions he asked me was like, have you plugged into a church at all? And I said no. And he like pretty much ended the conversation right then and there. And this is someone who I had had a relationship with for like 6 years of my youth.
Mm.
And he just like did not find me worthy of talking to because I like was no longer going to church.
Wow. Like wouldn't even listen to like the fact that you still had a relationship with God. Like he didn't
Yeah.
care about that. He just cared about like, are you going to church or not? Like, yeah.
Like he just
Mm.
had a firm boundary where if my answer was no, he was like gonna walk away. And
Mm.
so that was my first like kind of red flag in my brain of like, oh, this is like a really seedy situation.
Mm.
And again, I'm autistic, so I take things at face value. And then as an adult, I kind of started going back to church because I was like friends with people who were involved. And again, it was fun just because of the music and like because of the life lessons that whatever the pastor was saying. So
Well, and
I,
like excitement is infectious. Like if the other
it
people
is.
around you are like loving it and really into it, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally. And then when I, realized more and more that I was queer, that was when I was like, okay, is this even a place for me anymore? And just like slowly realized that it wasn't. And I don't even think that there was a grieving process with it. It was more just like realizing, oh, this is happening. But I think that since it was such like a arbitrary thing anyways, like I said earlier, it left me with a lot of woundedness in terms of just like not really having a lot of trust or faith in myself,
mm.
kind of always seeking external validation.
Yeah. I was gonna say the stuff with SA and a lot
Yeah.
of church stuff. I was looking up a minute ago the movie, but have you seen Spotlight? Have you ever seen
I
Spotlight?
have seen Spotlight.
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Fantastic. Yeah, it definitely covers like how things happened in that time frame. But like, I don't know, just the uncovering of all of that too goes
Mhm.
right back to that, like, I don't know, are you doing exactly what you preach, or
Yeah,
are you, a wolves in sheep's clothing?
for
To use
sure.
their own rhetoric, like
Oh my gosh, do you know what I saw on TikTok last night?
hmm.
This influencer or whatever was just talking about how like lamb's blood literally is anti-venomous or something like that. And I was like, this doesn't seem right. And I Googled it and it's like not true. It's a
Yeah.
total like sixth rib thing. Have you heard of that
It's
whole thing?
yeah, and
Where
then
like,
injecting yourself with horse, what was it, the horse, oh gosh, what was it? For COVID, when they were like telling people to like,
oh, the horse
yeah,
tranquilizer?
use the horse, it wasn't
Yeah, I
tranquilizer, it
don't
was like
know.
horse vaccines. I guess it was horse
Meltdowns?
vaccines. I don't know. It was a horse shot. They were telling you to do the horse shot for it, and it was going to cure your
Oh,
COVID. But
interesting.
it's like,
Well, and here's what I th this is my curiosity. Like,
mhm.
I don't think that these people are all autistic, but damn, do they do a lot of face valuing and trust, blind trust in something. Do you know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just like the way our society is, or if because I'm autistic, I fit into that very well. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, it's just interesting to kind of like think
Yeah.
about because you want to be able to make your own choices and
Yeah. So I'm curious about this stuff about Quaker.
yeah. So the reason why I think this is like interesting about the Quaker thing is because I haven't been religious in years. It's probably been since I was 25 years old. I'm 32 now. Um and I have made I think that going back to like making meaning of life and
Mm.
whatnot, like I think that religion really did play into that. And once I left, I really got into astrology and tarot and that sort of thing. So the Quaker religion popped up maybe 4 months ago
Mm.
on TikTok, and
Uh,
I actually haven't stopped thinking about it, which is really weird. I am curious about it. And I will tell you why it sparked my
yeah.
interest.
Okay,
So
I don't know anything about.
the reason why Quaker Oats, no,
I do know Quaker Oats quite well, thanks.
um, no, so what struck me was this content creator was talking about how she never talks about her Quaker faith, but that she wanted to announce that like the Quakers are pissed about the new administration and
Hmm.
that the Quakers are actually suing the administration. Like they were one of the
Oh.
first to sue the administration. So that sparked my interest because I was like, huh, that
Hmm.
is very interesting because
Hmm.
I have not been hearing about religion and the administration quite in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then like through all of my like deep diving on what Quakerism is, one of the quotes I came across was basically the Quakers are all autistic and they wanted to create a church together. So,
Okay. Hmm.
um, I have a couple things that I want to read. Um, do you want to hear about someone is autistic and like talks about her Quaker faith,
Hmm.
or would you rather hear about the pillars of Quakerism first? I don't know if it's
I think I need to know
Quakerism.
the pillars first
Okay.
before.
So it is Quakerism.
Okay.
I was right. And I am gonna read. So the Quaker religion comes down to six values and it's spices. So the first is simplicity, and that is living with clarity and intention, focusing on what matters most. Peace, choosing nonviolence, inner calm, and compassionate conflict resolution. Integrity, being authentic, truthful, and aligned in values and actions. Community, valuing connection, shared purpose, and collective care. Equality, honoring the worth and light in every person. This was interesting because it's like recognizing that God is within every person. And then the last is stewardship, caring responsibly for the earth, resources, and each other. Um,
Is this connected with Amish faith?
no,
Okay.
I don't think
It's very
so.
similar, like
Really?
tenant base, I think. I mean, I don't know much
Interesting.
about Amish faith, but it's
Yeah, I don't know much about the Amish faith, but I know that it's not the exact same.
no, yeah.
Um, and I know that it was created like as a piggyback off the Christian faith. And that there are still a lot of patriarchal issues
Yeah.
within this strain. But one of the things that really got to me was that a lot of Quakers participate in social justice things. Like they'll participate in protests and all that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, the tenants sound great and all, but so do the Ten Commandments. So
Thou shalt not kill.
no, I actually don't like that one. We can put that one. Another big thing about religion for me is that you can see the parallels between what the message is
Hmm.
and like the same tenets between almost everything, like between Islam and Buddhism and Christianity. Everything has like almost the same tenets, just
It's
worded
true.
in different ways.
Yeah.
And so I always felt like if there was something, there was a God of some kind, that was what was originally passed down was those same like tenets, and we have warped them
Hmm.
into so many different things. Like,
Yeah,
how can you know the one truth if we've messed up the one truth
totally.
and fucked it into 40 different
Yeah.
religions or whatever, like
No, I totally hear what you're saying and forgot to say that you can be Quaker and other things too. Like there's
right, so it's similar to
Buddhist
Buddhism.
Quakers,
Yeah.
there's agnostic Quakers. I think that there's even atheist Quakers. Like, so that was also something that like sparked my interest in it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, honestly. And that's like where my mind always goes is like, wow, Islam and Christianity have so many parallels. There's no fucking way that these came from like
Too different.
random.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
And
just
that's
so
where like I
interesting.
feel like I'm not religious or really
Hmm.
spiritual, but like I do hold those tenets. Like
Yeah,
those tenets are important to me.
right.
It's just like the ways in which they're practiced in the world doesn't make sense to me. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I live my life by those things, but it's more in a core values
Yeah.
aspect than it is in, like a structure that I see around me or something.
Maybe what if you ever turn back to religion, it's not that that's bringing you those core values, but it is bringing you community of people that
Hmm.
are like
I do
also
miss that. I mean,
following.
like
Yeah.
sometimes the things that people will be like, "Oh, my church members like did this thing and like use their brush hog to take care of my property," or like I don't know, just like crazy
Yeah.
things that people will do for each other just because they're
Right.
in church together
Yeah.
that they won't extend necessarily to people outside of the church. I do definitely
Totally.
miss like that aspect of community.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, and I think that's sometimes how churches get people to go to church too, is like the free childcare on every Sunday and like that sort of like giving community and like
Mhm.
staying within the community. If like, even if you're thinking of leaving, but like you go through something hard and the church shows up for you, or you start to have kids and like need to rely on others for like the meal train. I mean, it
Yeah.
is wild the connection that religion holds. I don't think I have seen other communities operate in quite the same way. I think that
Mhm.
others try and get really close.
Yeah.
But it is interesting,
Yeah.
the
Okay, so what's
intentionality.
this autistic individual's
Okay,
experience with Quakerism?
so this was an article called I Found the Quaker Sasquatch. And it was just written March 1st
Okay.
by Cassie Hardy. And I'm just going to read three paragraphs, so it won't be too long. My Quaker faith and autistic self mesh more than I could have ever fathomed. I found that the very testimonies of Quakerism were the very nature of my neurodivergence. Many of the churches and faith communities I had attended over the years focused heavily on what I consider to be a presentation of showiness rather that how loud the band was, how fancy the congregation were dressed, how moving the words were in the sermon, how high you raised your hands during worship, or how great the latte was in the in-house coffee shop. To me, everything felt like a performance and one that I often get lost in. Like many autistic individuals, I like rules that are black and white, and I dislike the fluff that surrounds and fills life in many of the religious spaces I have experienced. I also like understanding things to the point of obsession. Hypocrisy was something I saw so frequently in the churches I grew up in and experienced in my college years. You say you welcome everyone, yet I find as a queer person that your welcome and love is conditional. You show that you want to be a part of the world in a way that you hold your Sunday services, yet you do not practice what you preach in the community. I felt myself to be so much an other in the world of religion. When researching Quakers, I saw a group of people that didn't just live their faith out only on Sundays, but live their faith every day, whether it be by serving the needs of people in countries at war, lobbying for human rights in the States, or caring for someone in their community. The fluff on Sunday was not fluff at all. It was reality, a refreshing and welcoming experience for someone who likes the black and white. So. Yeah, I just thought like that part of the article was really interesting and it's funny that it like hit on so many things that like
Yeah.
you brought up earlier. This can be an ongoing thing if I ever even end up in a Quaker church. I don't know if I will, but it is really interesting to me
Yeah.
and I wanted to like
We
share
can do
it.
some community research together.
Yeah, we can
Dun dun
let's go to
dun dun
church.
dun 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 dun.
Be to church. Da, na, 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 na.
We just like sneak in. We're like, what's happening here, guys? Just
What's
checking
up?
it
We're the hottie hotties.
out. Just checking it out.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
One more thing I want to mention that I just saw on my note too, that was happening around the same time that this Quaker thing came across my news feed was going to a comedy show,
Hmm.
and it was a trans comedy show, and this person did this whole presentation of because they are trans, they now believe in God and like their transness is a direct reflection that God exists and
Mm.
just that like there's something beyond the body.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that like still hits when I think about religion and just it's interesting that it has come back around.
Yeah. Okay, I came up with a would you rather as we were talking.
Okay.
Okay.
I hate the would you rather.
She loves them, really. Okay, so would you rather be for 1 month at a Buddhist monastery where you're not allowed to speak, like it's all based on, meditation and whatever,
Mhm.
or be stuck at a nunnery, like convent situation for a month, and you're allowed to speak, but you have to do a lot of chores and cleaning and things like that too.
Okay, I used to want to be a nun.
But now,
Not now. But I did. There was a time that I really wanted to join a nunnery. Oprah Winfrey did a special on them, and I was like, that seems like the life for me.
Oprah, saw an Oprah special and we're like, hell yeah.
I was probably 8 years old.
Oh my gosh.
I was a weird kid.
So this is before religion even got you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be a nun. My
Oh.
grandma was so happy. She also used to take me to Ash Wednesdays. Like
Mm.
every year I'd go and get Ash Wednesday even though I wasn't Catholic. So sorry.
Your grandma was Catholic though?
She was Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think you were supposed to get ashes if you weren't like confirmed or First communion. I also, yeah.
You didn't get baptized, right? So like, yeah.
Nope, nothing like. Well, I was. Don't worry. I was baptized at Christian camp the following summer. After I had accepted Christ into my heart the first summer, I was
Right,
then
right, right.
baptized the second summer.
It was the ashes. There was something in the ashes.
Ashes.
Uh,
Well, now I really want to go to a Buddhist monastery and
Yeah.
like do a silent meditation. I think that it would be,
It's so cliche, but like after I
yeah,
read Eat, Pray, Love,
yeah, yes,
I was like, even if it's like not nearly as profound or anything,
yeah.
like it's just I liked the way that she portrayed it, and it's been a long time since I read it, but if I remember right, it was very like real and like raw of like how hard things were, but like
Hmm.
still the benefits. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would be really interesting and very hard for me because I have a hard time sitting still, and like and when I do try to practice meditation in my own life, it takes me a long time to get my like skills and ability back under control for
Yeah.
it.
Well, it sounds like it would just be like a really good practice.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm.
I know. I thought about doing an Eat, Pray, Love journey if like I still wasn't healing by this summer, but I think I'm good.
Yeah.
So, what would you
Okay.
choose? You choose the Buddhist monastery?
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I don't think I could stand. I think I would I don't know. I don't have oppositional defiance like very much, but I feel
Hmm.
like in a situation like that, I all of a sudden would. Like I would like if I was in a nunnery, I would just all of a sudden be like, I want to be naked and like just run and
I want to be
scream and
naked
like
and do my chores. How dare you make me wear this thing?
you want me to be quiet and demure? No, I'm gonna scream.
The
I don't
top
know.
of my lungs.
It just makes me feel like kind of like confined, even just like thinking about it. But for
Totally.
some
But
reason,
yeah, I was gonna
choosing at a
say,
monastery to be silent and like that, it doesn't feel like the same, I guess. I don't
interesting. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
know. Yeah.
Well, thanks for
Funny.
humoring me
Yeah.
talking about religion.
Yeah. I think did we want to touch on RFK at all? Just a quick mention or
Sure, we can do a quick mention.
yeah,
It's
okay. We'll do like a pretend in the news for a minute.
very much in the news right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So a quick in the news. Of course everybody knows about I want to just call him a motherfucker. Our crazy brainworm man in charge of the health organizations. We all know that he came out with his lovely speech about how being autistic ruins people's lives
Mhm.
and all of that. And we will talk about it more in depth later because both of us want to sit with it and give it more
Mhm.
time and process. I do want to say that the registry thing is fucked, and I'm really glad that it's not been like it's not happening. Like HHS
Yeah.
has said this is not happening. We're not doing a registry. We'll give it more thought later and talk to you guys. But for now, the news is that's not happening. Thank God there's some rational people whose brains are not half-eaten
Yeah.
and who don't hate everyone and don't understand any diseases
Yeah.
or any diagnoses and how they work.
No, he's such a quack.
Such a
Um, I have
fucking
two things
Dr.
to
Oz,
share.
is that who the other no, yeah, wasn't it Dr. Oz that's
Yeah.
being appointed to something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about
He
putting
is also
quacks
in
in
charge.
place.
I
Yeah.
know. That's literally every time I bring it up with my dad, he's just like, ugh, they're all such quacks. Quacks. They
That's such a
really
dad
are.
thing to say. I
I
love
know.
that.
He's my favorite person in the world. Um, so last year I went and visited my aunt and uncle, and I just like wasn't super involved in, politics news at the time. And they were telling me all about how much they loved RFK and how he was super into, they talked about the regenerative farming and like the food industry and how all of our food is fucked. And I just like listened and was like, oh yeah, like sounds like a pretty cool guy. And went as far as like listen to a podcast that he was on with them. And then like maybe a week later, things started like how he was gonna support Trump. And I was like, this can't be the same guy.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Deep dived into who he truly is. I was like, oh God,
Oh, never mind.
I was never a supporter. But then something really funny. Well, I mean, it's not even funny. It's just he opposed Trump in like 2016 when he was running and like literally said he is the dumbest man alive.
Oh, it's like
And
JD
that
Vance's stuff. Like he literally said, "Never, I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump
yeah.
guy."
And I think when as far as to say like people that support him are idiots. Like
Mm,
I think that that is the amount of rhetoric that was in it. And I mean, Trump said that years ago too of like he needs to gain the power of people that will like not I forget how he said it and I don't want to be rude. So maybe I should stop talking.
Yeah. Like we said, we're gonna give it more time because we're both tired about this. But for now, don't believe shit that he says. There's no registry. Autistic people are valid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's good to be angry about it. For now, that's what we'll leave you with.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
So be unapologetically you this week
Find your joy.
and vote, damn it. Love you, hotties.
Bye.
Bloopity bloop bloop.
Bloopers. Yeah, so oh my God,
There goes
that
one.
happens every time.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
becoming a thing that every episode man kind of has to drop at least one ball. One
Me,
stress ball.
me and Gravity are really, really great friends.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we just
yeah.
can't keep our hands off each other.
Let's see.
Youth group became a safe place. I can't talk.
Safe space.
Safe place. Thanks for joining us this week. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music.
Please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. We could use some of those. If you want to get pictures that go along with our episodes and follow along, join us on Instagram and TikTok.
Thanks, hotties.